Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making my favorite Taiwanese pork dish, which is the Taiwanese braised pork belly with rice. This international famous pork dish is actually really easy to make. If you're a fan of pork, don't miss out today's content. Hi new friend, this is Erica right here. I'm a Taiwanese citizen currently living in America. Cooking and traveling is my passion, so I'm here to share with you my favorite Asian recipe. On top of that, all my video cover a little history background and food knowledge about the dish, as well as a Chinese lesson at the end of the video to teach you how to pronounce the dish that we're making today in Chinese. So if that interests you, please subscribe and keep watching. The dish that we're making today is a Taiwanese braised pork belly. So let's start with the history background of the dish, shall we? Well, the origin of Chinese braised pork is not really traceable anymore, but this cooking method has been in our culture for over 1,000 years. The braised pork belly can be found in a lot of different regions back in China. Each places have their own way of making this pork belly dish, and also they call them in different Chinese names, such as feng rou, kong rou, lu rou, rou zao, and dongpo rou. But at the same time, the main ingredients are very similar, and it all includes pork belly and soy sauce. So that's why in English we all call it the same name, which is the Chinese braised pork belly. So here I want to share with you the few most famous braised pork belly that you'll see in a restaurant here in the US, and also the difference between each one. So first let's start with the Taiwanese lu rou fan, because this is one of the most famous braised pork belly dish in the market. Even though Taiwan is a very tiny island, but the north of Taiwan and south of Taiwan still have their own different way of making the braised pork belly. The most famous one is actually the one from the north of Taiwan, the lu rou fan, which my boyfriend and I call it the sauce. The character lu rou, it actually just means braised meat. But if we're talking about lu rou fan, then it definitely look like this. The pork in the lu rou fan has always been pre-chopped into very tiny pieces before they cook, but it's not 100% grinded. You can still see the pork dice pretty clearly while you're eating it, and the fat and lean ratio is normally 50-50. While in the south of Taiwan, rou zao is actually more popular than lu rou. Lu rou and rou zao, they're both really popular and you can find it all around Taiwan, but lu rou is actually from the north of Taiwan and rou zao is from the south of Taiwan. And the difference about rou zao is that there's normally more lean than fat when it comes to a choice of pork. So if you like more of a meaty and chewy taste, you will like rou zao better. And if you like more of a juicy and smooth taste, you will like lu rou better. Me personally, I love lu rou fan because I'm from Taipei. But either way, both of them come with really small dice of meat. And next we're gonna talk about three most famous braised pork belly dish that is very similar to lu rou and rou zao, but it comes with a bigger chunk of pork, which is kuang rou, feng rou, and dongpo rou. If you're not really into the Asian culture or cooking, you can see all these three as the exact same thing. All three of them have very similar taste because they're all soy sauce based, but the way they cook it and the ingredient they use is a little bit different. Kuang rou came from Taiwan, and feng rou come from the Hakka culture, and dongpo rou can trace all the way back to 1,000 years ago in China. The main difference between the three for the customer, I'll say, is the shape's different. The Taiwanese kong rou are normally sliced into a 1-inch thick slices, while the feng rou and dongpo rou are bigger square dice shapes. Sometimes it's almost this big. And because when you're braising the pork, it's really easy to fall apart. And dongpo rou is actually very famous because of its very square, perfect shape, because they are normally tied up while cooking. The Taiwanese kong rou is the easiest to make in my opinion, because the thinner you slice the pork, the easier for the pork to absorb all the sauce. But as I said earlier, if you go to a really high-end Chinese restaurant, it's more common that if you see a dongpo rou being served on your table, because the shape of it is really beautiful. I'm born and raised in Taiwan, so I'm more familiar with the Taiwanese taste. So today I want to share with you the Taiwanese style braised pork belly. And with the recipe I show you today, you can make two different dishes, which is lu rou and kong rou. If you want to slice the pork into small little dices, then you're making a lu rou fan. But if you cut the pork into the size I'm showing you today, a bigger slice, 1-inch thick slice, then you're making a kong rou fan. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's the ingredient that we'll need for today's dish. First, let's talk about the pork belly. Like I said earlier, for the kong rou fan from Taiwan, we try to make 50 fat, 50 lean. So try to find it's a balance of 3 layers of fat. We'll say the skin, the fat, and the lean is like the 3 layers. So this is pretty perfect. It's a little bit fatter than I want, but this is like the best I can find in H Mart. It still tastes really good. And we got some bamboo. These are the thin bamboo, like the baby bamboo. These are the poached bamboo shoots. It doesn't have to be cooked. You can have like the raw one, that's fine. just some baby thin bamboo shoot will be fine. And here are the marinated pressed tofu. This is a little bit different than the pressed tofu we used before for the stir fry, but either that one or this one will work. And if you can't really find the pre-seasoned pressed tofu, you can also use the extra firm tofu as well, as long as it don't fall apart in the soup, you know. And here are some scallions, we got some shallots, we got star anise, and the garlic. This time we're gonna make a very simple recipe for this kong rou fan, so we can toss it straight into the pot. It's not gonna fall apart. And for the side, we also have the hard-boiled egg. You have to pre-boil the hard-boiled egg and then peel it before we cook. And here for the sauce, we have rice wine, soy sauce, sugar, sesame oil, and pepper powder. First things first, let's slice the pork belly. Like I mentioned earlier, the lean and fat ratio should be 50-50. But this is the leanest box they have in H Mart today. If you want to have a perfect fat-lean ratio, you can purchase your meat at the local butcher shop and tell them exactly what you want. And also, if you would like to have less fat in your diet, you can also get up to 70% lean and 30% fat. But not higher than that because it will not taste the same if there's not enough fat in it. The pork I got this time is relatively sliced thinner than normal, so I'll chop it into a thicker slice so the meat are not looking too tiny at the end. Again, the thickness of the pork is totally up to you. You can even drop the whole chunk of pork in if you want. But here I'm just trying to show you the traditional kong rou fan size. Next, open up the bamboo and pressed tofu. Rinse them up real quick and slice them up. I like my bamboo to be sliced in half so it can absorb the sauce better. And for the pressed tofu, I like to slice them into ½ inch of thickness, but it doesn't really matter. Last thing before cooking, wash your garlic, scallion, and shallot clean because we're gonna drop them straight into the pot later. Also, rip up the roots of scallion too. Now, let's start cooking. Heat up a pot with a little bit of oil inside. Take a pork as a test. If you can hear the sizzling noise, that means the pot is hot enough. Put all the porks in, skin side down. Frying the skin will caramelize it and make it softer and can also take away its gamey taste. With medium heat, it takes around 5 minutes. When the skin turns brown, turn them to another side and repeat for all sides. When the pork starts turning a little golden, add in the sugar evenly into the pot and stir fry it well. Top it with some sesame oil and keep stirring. You can see the sugar start melting and you want to make sure each slice of the pork is covered with the caramel. Next, add in the soy sauce and mix it well with the sugar and pork. Heating up the soy sauce to its boiling point will give the dish extra aroma, so make sure to wait until it starts boiling before you add in the rice wine. Again, wait till all the liquids hits the boiling point, then add in the scallion, shallot, garlics, pressed tofu, bamboo, and boiled eggs. When everything is in the pot, pour the water in until all the ingredients are covered. Same thing, wait till it starts boiling, sprinkle some pepper powder on top, and close up the lid. Let it simmer for around 90 minutes. Keep your eyes on it and open up the lid once or twice to add in more water if you see the water line is lower than the ingredients. If you have a pressure cooker, then obviously you don't need extra water and it will take only 25 minutes to cook with a pressure cooker. Either way, in the meantime, don't forget to cook some rice. And done! Very simple, right? The best way to eat this is actually put them in the fridge and let the sauce soak into the meat for 24 hours first. But it's not necessary. Even though you can see that there's a lot of fatty part of the pork in the dish, but honestly, it doesn't taste greasy at all. But it is super moist and juicy, and the meat is so soft that you can literally peel it off with your lips. In the Chinese culture, you might already know that we eat most of our meal with rice, but I have never seen anybody back home eating a braised pork belly without rice. Because the best part is to pour the sauce on top of the rice and mix them together. We call it the sauce for a reason. If you're not finishing all within a day, you can put them into the fridge for not more than 5 days. But if you freeze it up right away, you can keep it in the freezer for 3 months. A lot of Taiwanese moms like to make a big pot of braised pork belly and separate them into 1 serving size per box and freeze it. So whenever you need a quick meal, you can just get a bowl of rice and a chunk of braised pork and microwave it and call it a day. Now, while I'm enjoying my dinner, let's learn some Chinese. The word of the day today is 台式空肉饭, the Taiwanese braised pork belly with rice. The first word with two characters, we learned it before. 台式. 台式 is the second tone and the fourth tone. 台式. It means the Taiwanese style. And the second word with two characters is 控肉. 控肉. They're both fourth tone. 控肉, which is the Taiwanese style of braised pork belly. And the last word with one character is 饭. 饭. The fourth tone. 饭, which means rice. We learned this before as well. So you put it all together, it's the 台式控肉饭, Taiwanese braised pork belly with rice. Thank you for cooking with me today. Let me know if you like the recipe by giving this video a thumbs up. It's only going to take you a second, but it means a lot to me. I make a video like this every Thursday, so remember, hit that bell and you'll never miss out. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!